This new serving job broke me. I cried after my third week. First bad serving, I had been a server for 2 years at a small family restaurant, then moved on to a cafe for 1 year. Now, I had landed my first decent serving job at a proper franchise. This was my third week working, and it was the first time I had cried after a shift. Management is pretty tough, especially on new staff. I knew this right away from my interview process. They gave me trial shifts instead of training shifts. Regardless, I had been managing, making little mistakes now and then. I was remembering my serving skills from my previous jobs while also relearning how a big franchise restaurant works. But management is not nice about any mistakes. They are always micromanaging, and even if I did something right but did not do it their way, it is still considered my mistake. Anyway, to get to what happened during my shift last night. It was the last hour and a half before closing, and I was the only server with no hostess. I got 4 tables back to back. I felt pretty overwhelmed but knew I could do it until management showed up and all my stress doubled. Suddenly, what I had planned in my head on how to approach the tables fumbled due to the manager's demands. Then my first mistake of the night happened. I sent in the wrong food order, even though I repeated and wrote down the order. This is my worst fear, but regardless, the customer is always right. The table was furious. Well, maybe disappointed. They did not make a fuss. They just looked extremely sad, disappointed, and stopped looking at me completely, which of course made me feel terrible. I took the meal off their bill and they left right away. Management was not happy. Moving forward, my next mistake happened. The kitchen misunderstood my note and did not put cheese on the nachos when in fact the customer wanted more cheese. Management was done with me. They threw out the perfectly untouched nachos angrily and told me both my mistakes of the night were going to be taken off my bill. This was my first mistake ever where food was wasted. I am usually very good at triple checking what I send to the kitchen. At that point, I was ready to start bawling. Some other things happened that night. One that I cannot get out of my head is this. After taking an order for a big table, I went to a table nearby to let them know I will be with them in a few minutes. They did not have any waters. Management is strong on giving waters right away, ideally with the first time you greet them. Then my manager appeared with waters for them and looked at me, shaking his head with disappointment, right in front of the table. I do not know if serving is right for me, as I was not even able to manage 4 tables. That was my first big challenge at the franchise, a whole new world after the family restaurant and cafe. I am curious, what was your biggest first moment or challenge when you started a new job?